There will be no Bennett or Mona elemental bursts in this video. A quick disclaimer, the purpose of this video is to give in-depth information on how the character can be optimized and how far we can push our limits. It may take more time for free-to-play users to push as far as I will be pushing in this guide. Xinyan is a new 4-star Pyro Claymore character that features using fire shields as well as having an elemental burst that deals high amount of damage. Her most popular role will be as main DPS carry, as she can deal high consistent damage. Her fire shield will also be especially useful as it will play both an offensive role but also a defensive one. Her shield playstyle will also open up to interesting team comps featuring uncommon artifact set pieces. In this clip, we'll be using a level 70 Xinyan solo with food buffs against a level 90 Childe boss encounter. The Xinyan is using a 4-piece set gladiator and is using a level 90 wolf gravestone refined to level 3. Do keep in mind that at level 90, Childe can deal a significant amount of damage. For Xinyan's basic attacks, most players will end up using normal basic attacks quite a bit. If you have her 6 constellation, charge attacks may become an interesting option as well. If she's your main DPS carry, this talent will be the first thing to be leveled. As for elemental skill, her fire shield ability is extremely useful and will generate a more powerful shield based on the number of enemies hit with a shield attack. 3 enemies is the amount of enemies to hit if you wish to generate a level 3 shield, and this will go down to 2 enemies when you have the first passive talent unlocked. Having a higher level shield will mean that the value of the shield protection is going to be higher. As for her elemental burst, the ultimate ability is quite powerful as it does AoE damage and will cause large amount of physical damage while also applying a pyro damage over time. If you have the second constellation, this elemental burst will always crit. This can be an amazing source of burst damage whenever necessary. In your own team comp, you could consider running Bennett and Mona to, increase this a little bit. For her passive talents, the shows goes on even without an audience, reduce the number of enemies required to be hit for increasing her shield level, so this will make sure that you can have a higher level shield pretty easily. And for the other passive talent, now that's rock and roll. When shielded by sweeping fervor, deal 15% increased physical damage. So this is pretty self-explanatory yet extremely powerful, sweeping fervor being her shield ability. As for the constellation, her first constellation, Fatal Acceleration, increases attack speed by 12% of normal and charge attacks for 5 seconds after performing a critical hit. This can only occur once per 5 seconds. The second constellation, Impromptu Opening, makes her elemental burst physical damage have a 100% crit rate and will also form a max level shield upon using the ultimate. The fourth constellation, Wildfire Rhythm, makes sweeping fervor's hit reduce enemies' physical resistance by 15% for 12 seconds. So applying this shield whenever possible if you have this fourth constellation is going to be extremely good. And finally, for her sixth constellation, charge attacks require 30% less stamina. Also, her charge attacks get an attack bonus equal to 50% of her defense. In my opinion, her sixth constellation is not that great. If you are pulling for this character, you should consider stopping at the fourth constellation if you are a heavy spender. The primary stats you will be aiming for to build a main DPS Xinyan are as follows. In first place, physical damage, followed in second place by crit rate and crit damage. You'll also want a lot of attack percentage in attack as well. You could also consider elemental mastery, as it could be an interesting option depending on your team composition, assuming you can proc a lot of melts, overloads, vaporize, and such. Imagine using a Tartaglia with a fire shield. As for the weapons, the first 3 best weapons will be 5-star weapons. The first and second place are kind of a tie between the Wolf's Gravestone and the Unforged, as they are both an amazing 5-star weapon. The Unforged might give you an interesting playstyle because of the shield, which will open up to interesting damage dealing options. And finally, the Skyward Pride will also be useful because it is mostly a 5-star weapon, thus will scale extremely well, especially on the higher levels. For the low spender users, the Prototype Amnes, the Serpent Spine, and Black Cliff Slashers will all be viable options. The Serpent Spine especially may feel more accessible on Xinyan because she has the ability to shield herself, thus avoiding the loss of stacks from the Serpent Spine. For the artifacts, 4-piece Retracing Bolide. Running 4 pieces of this set could be an interesting option to receive a significant increase in damage, assuming you are able to maintain your shield uptime. Shields could be coming from different characters in the team such as Adona or Azongli as well. 4-piece Gladiator may be an easy approach as well, will mostly be useful for people that do not want to bother optimizing the shield uptime or that simply do not like using charge attacks. The following sets could also be combined together for interesting results. 4-piece Bloodstain, 2-piece Bloodstain, 2-piece Retracing Bolide, 2-piece Bloodstain, 2-piece Gladiator. As a closing note, this main DPS character that can apply her own offensive shields does open up for some interesting team composition, assuming you enjoy triggering elemental reactions. A lot of creativity could be applied whether it's regarding a shield based team or an elemental reaction team comp, or both. In the end, we feel that this 4-star character has an interesting playstyle and could definitely shine as a main DPS carry. Do keep in mind that you do not need 6 con on this character for her to shine. Having even the first and second con is going to be quite beneficial, and if you can reach up to the 4th constellation, it's going to be quite useful as well. I hope that you guys enjoyed this guide. Feel free to ask any questions or share any feedback you may have, and we'll do our best to get back to you. Thank you for watching, guys.